Hello and welcome to lesson 1.11. Today we're going to talk about points and line segments and rays and all sorts of things that connect to the word geometry, right? Geometry is just looking at all of the angles and lines and different shapes that we see throughout our world. And the world is filled with geometry. As I scroll through these pictures, you'll see all sorts of lines and curves and shapes and just different things that we see in our world related to geometry. They're all over the place, right? Even the places that we build are built from plans that use geometry. Okay, and it says might have regular rectangular rooms or other triangular shapes in your home or where you live. So geometry is everywhere. It's even in the room that you're in right now, whether you're in a classroom or somewhere else. uh, you can just look around and see all sorts of shapes and lines and segments. So today we're going to work on identifying the difference between points, lines, and rays, and that goes with our geometry standard down here that leads us into rays, angles, and then perpendicular and parallel lines. So we're going to kind of start at the beginning with that. Here's our first term to know: line segment. Segment, this, if you remember this word, segment is a piece of something, right? If you have a segment of a candy bar, it means that you have a piece of a candy bar. A line segment starts and ends at a point. We have A and B. We can make them into a line segment by connecting them like that and then giving this a name. We could call it AB, right? It starts at A and ends at B, or BA that goes the same way. And then we put this little symbol over the top of that to show that we're talking about a line segment. So if you're writing line segments, don't forget this little segment on top of the two letters. How would you describe a line segment to someone who has never seen one before? What would you say? How would you describe a line segment? Well, it's straight, it's thin, it has a beginning and an end. That's a key thing. Its length can be measured, right? It's 2 points connected. Those all describe a line segment. Now, the next term is just a line, right? So it sounds similar to a line segment, but it's different. How can we change the line segment into a line? Well, what we do is that we add arrows to each end. And the reason that we do that is because in geometry, in math, a line never ends. Okay. This arrow shows that it keeps going this direction, right? Not just to the end of your screen, but keep going through your screen and keeps going forever that direction and keeps going forever that direction, right? So it keeps going forever and ever and ever. Very different than a line segment, which was just a piece of this line. So we can name this line AB or BA. Look, the symbol on the top is different, right? That's why we always have to make sure we write that when we're writing the name of a line. So this is line AB. How is a line different from a line segment? How are the two things that I showed you different? How are they different? A line has no beginning and no end, right? A segment is just a piece. It has a beginning and an end, but a line does not. A line segment is part of a line or a piece of a line. A line goes on forever in both directions, but a segment does not. All right. To further confuse things, here's a ray. A ray is kind of like part line and part line segment. What we do to make array is that we have got our 2 points connected, but it only goes on in one direction forever and ever, right? This is the starting point, and then it goes through A and keeps going forever and ever in this direction. I like to imagine it like the sun's rays, right? All of the rays of the sun start at the sun. They all have a start, but they never end. They keep going and going and going. Now, this ray, you'll notice that there's not two names to this ray like there were for the line segment and the line. With a ray, the letter that you write first has to be the letter that it starts at, even if the ray is pointed a different direction. Let's say I had a ray pointed this direction, and this was point X, and this was point Z. This ray starts at X, so when I write the name of the ray, I have to write the X first, wherever the ray starts. All right, let's check some understanding here. Is it possible to draw all of a line? No. Why not? Because it keeps going on forever and ever. Is it possible to draw all of a line segment? Yes, because it has a start and a stop. What do you think here? Is it possible to draw all of a ray? No, right? Because it keeps going forever in just one direction, but you can't ever draw all of that one direction. So we have line segments, lines, and rays. Now we can take a kind of a long thing like this, and we can we can pull some line segments out of it. Now I know this keeps going on forever and ever, but we could say that we're just going to look for line segments in here, and maybe we just want to talk about this piece of what's there. And so we could call that segment XY or YX. We could also say, oh, well, maybe we'll look at this piece, and we could call that YZ or ZY. Or we could look from here to here, right? So we can really kind of pull these line segments out of this line. What we never want to do is have three letters. We would never say that this is line or line segment XYZ. Okay, that doesn't work. The reason is when you have three letters, you're actually going to be talking about an angle, and we're not going to get to that today. But all lines, line segments, and rays only have two letters in their names. Okay. Same thing here. Different, we can pull rays out of the same thing. Might talk about XY, ray XY from here through here, or ray XZ, okay, X through Z. Those are some rays. We might talk about rays ZX. So going from Z and through X and on that way. Okay, and I know it's a little weird here, but there's lots of different rays that we can pull out of a figure like this, right? Here's Y, Z, so starting at Y and going through Z, starting at Y and going through X. There's different rays that we could pull out of there. Let's do parallel also. Parallel you've probably heard of before. Parallel, in this case, are lines that go on forever in both directions. You can also have parallel line segments or parallel rays. When you look at a long stretch of railroad tracks, the tracks appear to meet far in the distance, but they never do, right? Do they actually meet? No, because they're parallel. If they weren't parallel, the train would crash. Right? Parallel lines are lines on a flat surface that never meet or cross. They do not intersect. What would happen if railroad tracks were not parallel? Oh, we just kind of said that. The train's wheels would not stay on the tracks. It would crash because it needs parallel tracks. All right, so we're working on points, lines, and rays. Little review. All right, what are these called? These are parallel line segments, not parallel lines. Lines keep going. Lines would have arrows. Segments do not. What are these? These are parallel what? Parallel rays. They are going in one direction. They have a starting point, but not an ending point. All right, let's do some drawing now. Grab a piece of paper or your dry erase board. First, I want you to draw a line segment. What you should have drawn is a point at the beginning and a point at the ending, right? No arrows, and then you need some letters here. I'm going to call it JS. Okay, so this is line segment JS. Another drawing. Draw a line. Okay, your line should also, this time we're going to go through our points. And we're going to add an arrow in both directions because a line keeps going in both directions. I'll call mine line AB. You know what's coming next. Draw array. Array should have a starting point. We'll call this point Y. Mine is going to go through point Z and then keep going in one direction, right? Y in my case is the starting point, and you should have one arrow on your array. All right, you are ready to turn to Math Journal page 27. You have some different items to label. It says use a straight edge. If you have a ruler to help you with these drawings, not to measure with, but to just draw straight lines and line segments and rays, that would really help. So you're going to follow the directions here and name the different items. If you get confused as to which is which, be sure to look back in the video, right? Oh, I can't remember what's a line and what's a ray, right? The video can help you to do that. Okay? So that is your task today. All right, that's all. We've done it. Our goal was to identify differences between points, lines, and rays, and line segments too. If you need help, be sure to reach out, and good luck.